Evening, guys. My name's Darren. I'm an addict. Been to a recovery centre today and a meeting. So I don't know what topic to do, but basically I woke up with trepidation this morning, which means fear and like something's going to happen. I'm only promised, if I do the right thing and put the action in and live an honest life, I'm promised 24 hours clean. My whole life is consumed around escape. So, and I don't think I've ever fitted in. I've moved around. I've had 92 different places, probably more than that. I can tell you every postcode. But I feel clarity and confusion, yin and yang, total opposites. That's my head every day. I suffer from schizoaffective disorder, which I believe was drug induced, which is schizoaffective disorder is bipolar and schizophrenia. But my original diagnosis in 2014, I've had multiple diagnoses and multiple medicines. The first time I was put in hospital when I was 19, when my nan and dad died, and they offered me to go to a place or go into another place, and I chose to go into the hospital, and I was put on mind-bending legal drugs, and that was the start of my journey. I've probably had 6 self-admissions to psychiatric hospital, and then the latest one, I was sectioned for 28 days in the Caledon in Coventry, the beginning of last year, so 2014, and they put me in hotels. And then they tried to section me for 6 months, but someone disagreed with that, and I got a legal lawyer, and I got out after 2 months. And that was St George's. I was in there 3 times in that year as well. But so my original diagnosis in 2014 was ADHD, and I was never medicated for it. They put me on risperidone for a while, but that makes me violent. So schizoaffective disorder, it's basically gone from EUPD, which is emotionally unstable personality disorder. Sorry for sorting your coat out. Don't know whether I'm cold. See the differences in my head. Basically, I was diagnosed with EUPD, which is emotionally unstable personality disorder. And when you've lived the life I have, that's not surprising. But I've had brand new flats. I was fighting for my children at one. It was a lovely flat, and I had a lovely flat in Warwickshire, 2 Juliet balconies in my own art gallery. You've seen my artwork. I had them on canvases down the hallway. But I got cuckooed, and I lost that flat. My other new flat was in Bromsgrove, Aston Fields, beautiful flat, but I was fighting for my children. And then they've put me in hostels, hotels, and they're all drug dens. And I never done drugs when I was at these places. So the Three Queens in my hometown, Burton-on-Trent, someone was walking down the street and asked for a lighter. So I got one in my room, fully knowing what it was that they wanted, which was the substance of my choice at the time. My illness and addiction is progressive. So I started on cigarettes, and I got a buzz off a cigarette. I hated smoking all my life, but I started smoking and I got a buzz, and I think I smoked 120 fags that one night, or maybe 140, but it was a lot of fags. No wonder I've got heart wall muscle trouble. I was in hospital 7 weeks ago with pneumonia and heart wall trouble, and they asked me if I had a heart attack. And I was that fucking insane that I come straight out of hospital and scored a lot of my substance of choice. But the Three Queens, the guy asked for a lighter. As soon as I said I was one in my room, but I put my hand in my pocket and I found one, and he offered me some of my choice pipe. And I said no. And then I was in Newton Solney, and someone offered me 4 for 100, which you only get 3 for 100. Anyone knows. And it says I'm the best chef, but everyone's the best chef. All full of bullshit. They've took my money, they've took my money, they've took my money, they've took my money, they've took my car, they've took my flat, they've took my kids. Well, I've took my kids, I've lost my kids, I've lost my grandkids. I didn't take my 2 youngest. I went through the family courts at magistrates, and I was granted legal aid, and that was surrendered by my solicitor, which is against the law because it's granted to me. But I was in Thailand at the time. I went to Thailand 3 times at Christmas because it's the hardest time of the year. But I went to Thailand for 23 days, 60 days and 60 days, and I was crying for 23 of them. Lost my train of thought now. But then I was at Newton Solney. I've been a hostel in Skegness where there was smoking that much spice the chickens were falling over in the garden. I've been in a hostel in Hillfields, which is the front line in Coventry, second most dangerous city in Europe for stabbings. I left there and went in the Peak District, went to Grimsby, had my jaw broke, was on the streets in Bristol full of spice, never touched drugs when I was on the streets. 9 months. I was in Lincoln for 3 months. I had my belongings stolen 18 times in about 3 months. I used to make a lot of money. I didn't beg, but I'd lay outside a bank because there was bodies going in the water, and they didn't know if someone was pushing them in or out. The hostels, I was in St Paul's in Bristol, which if you know St Paul's, I'm not going to say anything about the area, but it's very dangerous. I can't live on my own. I can look after, I can clean, I can wash. The parent that taught me everything, even though he was very ill, I didn't realise till I was 19 that everything he said might have been infactual, because he was a paranoid schizophrenic. People make out I'm a paranoid schizophrenic, but I'm not a paranoid schizophrenic. It's drug-induced, my schizophrenia, if I've got it, or whatever people try and say. Oh, I've had lots of help from agencies, mental health, but they try and put me in a box. You can see my other posts. I'm not going to fit in a box, and this illness, I'm never going to have it boxed off. I've got 24 hours, as I say, if I do the right thing and live honest. And one of my downfalls is that I'm honest. But that's who I am. I'm addicted to chaos. If you used to break my arm like a stick of rock, my DNA would be chaos. All my life has been chaos. So my youth, I moved school when I was 7, from Burton-on-Trent, which is a small brewery town, to Birmingham. Big city, dangerous city. I lived on one of the longest roads. You couldn't go down the one end because there was the avenue, like you couldn't go down the other end because it was Ludston, and there was loads of gang fights. It's very postcode. I've just recently lived in Handsworth by the temple, and there was people shouting the postcodes. I had a Montclair coat on. It was fake. I got it from an air ambulance shop. I picked it up. I thought I found a £1,000 coat, but it was fake, made in China. But as you can imagine, if you know Handsworth, walking down there, I'm the only one in the village not LGBT or queer, but the colour of me. And I'm walking around Handsworth with a Montclair coat, and they're shouting the postcodes, and they're asking me if I want whites and bees. Grimsby, I had my jaw broke. I was in the paper of all the infirmary. Lincoln, it was full of spice heads. They asked me to do a recording for Citizens Advice about the problem, because Jeremy Clarkson was taking his son, and he was in the front of the newspaper. You can research this. Going to see the zombies or something, and Lincoln's a jewel. Well, a diamond in the rough. It's a jewel, and you got the castle, the cathedral up Steep Hill. I'd done ultra white collar boxing when I was homeless. Went to the library. I didn't touch drugs, but this latest drug of choice was given to me for toothache, and then they took my flat. They was boxing me. I had to protect myself. They was going to turn the 2 bedrooms. I had 2 big, lovely bedrooms into cannabis farms. And I believe they're locked up now. I've been given a voucher today, guys. So I've been given a phone. I go to Stars. And I've been given a voucher. It's in my wallet. They've given me a mobile phone with a SIM. They've got a mobile phone, well, 2 mobile phones. And I told them I didn't need it, but they still give it me. I've been given a North Face jacket by Lichfield Cathedral, another sleeping bag, 2 towels, and another coat. When I was in Bristol, it was like a 3 months holiday. Homeless is easy. I can go to I'm going to Meadowside tomorrow. I'm in my hometown now because I've had the tooth out. Took them an hour and a half to get it out with the roots. But I'm in my hometown, and I'm stopping here till tomorrow, so I can use Meadowside for a shower. I don't stink, but homelessness is an easy life, especially when you're begging and making more money. I don't know whether you can see that, guys, but it was from the council welfare scheme, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I do like to speak the truth. Spend it how you like. E-voucher value at the bottom, £65. I went in the supermarket earlier, and I really struggle in supermarkets. I used to work in one, but I put 2 things in my trolley, and I was going to store them off, but I haven't got a lot of money, and the pound was stuck in the trolley, so I put the stuff on the shelf. The member of staff looked at me funnily, and I walked out to get my pound out of the trolley because I needed the pound. The latest property I'm in, there's a guy there, and the living room's right next to my room, and he's deaf, and he's been talking to someone in his homeland, and he was shouting all night, and he was a drunk. I live with a Hungarian gypsy and an English gypsy, and they've been trying to force themselves to buy my car cheap, and it come to a altercation a couple of days ago. But I reported this Indian gentleman for talking, and I recorded it via WhatsApp and sent it to Prospect Housing. I've lived there 3 times as a woman trying to climb through the attic, thinking people. So I got myself a private rented place in Winshill, Churchill Street, for 6 months, and then I got my 2-bedroom flat. People held that against me because everyone helped me get the furniture, 3 beds, 3 this, and people say I've had the help, don't give him money, don't give me this, don't give me that. Someone's actually offered me a hotel on Friday and I won't accept it because this is consequences of my actions. I'm sleeping in my car because I'm a bloody drug addict. So the first substance I had was nicotine and I hated it, and that was against my will. Once I took 1 fag, I was addicted. Then I had cannabis, which is a gateway drug, and someone's just gone missing and psychotic, that I offered 4 biscuits to some homeless person. But that causes paranoia and psychosis. Then, when my nan and dad died, I was left 10 grand and I spent it in 6 months on ecstasy pills. Because if you remember a case Leah Betsy died on ecstasy, I tried to kill myself with ecstasy. Copious amounts of them. Up to 9 a night. Remember, this is progressive. I've had MDMA when I was in Warrington for about 6 months. People put that up on me. I've had crystal meth in Thailand. I've had yabba in Thailand. I've had base, speed, MCAT, coke. I've done this all on my referral the other day. The list is as long as my arm. But it's all to escape the feelings. I live in fear. I suffer with fear-based illness. I've never fitted in. When I moved when I was 7, I was walking around the playground and they offered me to play football, and I used to count my goals. I used to collect stickers. I used to collect football posters, collect this, collect that, collect this. Addicted. Because I suffer from addiction, I'm not addicted just solely to substances and alcohol and stuff like that. I've done alcohol. I've lost my driving licence. But as I said, I was going through trauma with my wife. I turned up the one evening and I wasn't allowed to see my kids, and I was living in the car and I drank and I was attacked. And then I got shot at Bromsgrove. I can't remember, Nathan Green, a paedophile. Research it, Nathan Green from Bromsgrove. He was a paedophile, and I walked back from the pub and someone shut my window and I drove to escape. The copper took me home on the Sunday and he says, "You're shaking, you need to go and see the mental health." I says, "Oh, you ginger." Not I should have called him Ginger, but he was Ginger. And sometimes I'm not politically correct. I says, "There's a bullet hole in my window." I nearly got off with that one. I should have got off with both of them, to be fair. But my life's just been chaotic. 4 years before the bloke that passed away, so my nan and dad died. My nan died on a Monday when I was about 19, I believe. And my dad died on the following Monday. But about 4 years before he died, he told me he wasn't my real dad. I can only believe what people tell me, and I do. I'm very gullible like that. I'm honest, so I can only believe a man or woman's word. But he told me he wasn't my father. And then his sister told me, "You know, your dad isn't your father." So I don't know. And they've told me that when my dad died, I can't find out if he was my real father. But I can, because I can have a full DNA test with my sister. She's disowned me as well. I rocked up at her house. with my last 16 quid on the train, and she says, get away from my door, because I'm a crackhead. Well, was. I've done it for 5 weeks. The most I've ever done it for over 2.5 years is 7 weeks, and this is this last time, and I lost my camera. But I'll go into rehab, save some money, and I'll get a mirrorless camera. So I've had lots of properties. Can't live on my own, can't live with people. Oh, and the second house I had with Prospect. So the first one, the woman was climbing through the roof and this, that and the other, and thinking there was people there because she was on mad drugs or she was just ill. The second one, which I wouldn't go back to, the guy was keep flashing his genitalia, and it brought me back to when I was abused when I was up to the age of 7. I don't know. We used to go up into my nan's house in the bedroom, and someone used to abuse me, sexually abuse me. And then when I was 12 or 14, we had a lodger in Oldwood Road, Birmingham, one of the longest roads, residential roads in Europe. And I've told you about the gangs and the postcodes. You couldn't go to Bartley Green, you couldn't go to Northfield. I had my jaw broke roughly about that time as well. So I broke my jaw twice. Someone tried to attack me, and there was a guy with a knife, so I went over a picket fence, pulled him tight, and he hit me with a knuckle duster, and he went to prison as well. I tell the truth. I'm not a grass. I tell the truth, and I have to protect myself sometimes. So that covers a bit of my mental health, a bit about the accommodation, which I got accommodated last year on a Facebook page wall, and then someone close to me told him that I'm a crackhead. So obviously you're not going to have a crackhead in your house, but I don't steal. I've shoplifted twice. Once when I was about 5 or 6, when we had no money and I was starving, an apple from the shop behind Richmond Street. And once when I was going to Hillcrest School when I was at Bartley Green, and I got caught. Because I'm in a supermarket, I'm undecisive or spending money. I don't like spending money because I wasted 10 grand, and when I was younger, it should have gone in there. It did go in nicer, but I wasted it, so it's always affected me money. I've always wanted that 10 grand back. When I was 5, I was moved up a school year because I was faster than a calculator. And sorry if you can't keep up with how I speak, but I met someone from Lichfield Council today that's trying to get me housed again. But I'm going into rehab soon. One of the best in the country, but even then, only 1 in 3 survive, 1 relapses and 1 dies. I lost 5 people last year. Not going to mention the names, but just look around Warwickshire and you'll see the deaths. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I think I've answered a few questions and doubts what people think of me. It's been a pleasure talking to you. My name's Darren, I'm an addict, and I'll leave it there.